The second issue, which to me is just as horrible and needs to be discussed, is his consistent berating and insulting and ad hominem attacks, particularly against women. Whether it's
Give
Kristen,
me a break.
What do you mean give me a break? Kristen Welker this week.
It's Kristen.
Caitlin Walker.
I'm
Caitlin
sorry.
Collins last
I've
week.
worked with Kristen when I worked at the White House.
Will you give me a break?
Say
Have
that
you
you're
no
going up
shame
against
as a woman?
Things got heated on Abby Phillip's CNN panel when Ana Navarro unloaded on MAGA supporter Caroline Sunshine. Joined by Charles Blow and Hal Lambert, the debate quickly turned intense. We'll break down the key moments, share some thoughts, and discuss what it all means. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and share if you enjoy the video. Let's dive in.
Monumental meltdown. Tonight, the walls appear to be closing in on the president. His war in Iran is as unpopular as ever as it stretches into its 100th day. Americans are worried about their finances more than ever before, and he's suffered a series of legal losses that are throwing his priorities for a loop. And his own party is now fiercely pushing back on some of his agenda. It all comes to a head during this interview with NBC's Kristen Welker on Meet the Press this weekend. Welker pressed Trump on a number of conspiracy theories, first about January 6th rioters, then the lie that California's election is rigged. But instead of responding with evidence or proof of any kind, Trump resorted to insults and smears before he stormed off altogether.
You know that these elections are rigged. Your network knows that they're rigged. You know that I won an election in a landslide, and I got 94% bad press.
But, Mr. President,
you know why I got that? Because you have no credibility.
But you've never presented evidence that it was rigged. Let's keep talking about, I want to talk about Todd
You
Blanche.
have more evidence. There's more evidence than ever presented.
Let's talk
Your
about...
elections in this country, we're like a third world country.
But, sir,
your elections are crooked, and you're crooked, and Meet the Press is crooked, and so is ABC, and CBS, and CNN.
But, Mr. President...
You're one-sided crooked network. So let's call it quits, because I've had enough. Thank you, darling. Have a good time.
Mr. traveled all the way to Wisconsin for this interview.
One of the most revealing things about that exchange is that she kept asking for proof. There was no proof being put on the table. And when the president attacks the media, calling them biased, it's usually because they're correcting him on some very obvious falsehoods, like the one that he tried to repeat in that interview, Charles.
Like, the president wants to say this. You have to let me lie without interrupting me. You have to let me lie and not push back on it. And if you don't give me that kind of coverage, then I do not like the media. And the other thing that the president does is that he substitutes himself for the country all the time. I think people really have to really be careful when they listen to him, because as an authoritarian thing, when he says that they are the enemy of the country, he really means that they are the enemy of me because they won't let me lie. When he says that people are attacking the country, he really means that they are attacking him. The substitution is a very real thing that happens with Donald Trump in the way that he communicates. And I think everybody needs to pay attention to that.
Why can't Trump take corrections, tough questions? Why can't he put proof on the table of his assertions?
Well, I think you watch the president more than anybody, and I hope everybody at this table would be honest about the fact that the president of the United States takes more tough questions on a daily basis than just about any other president in the modern era. Certainly the last one that we had. Oh, no, I think he should do this two to three times a week. This was a great interview.
Storm out of interviews?
Oh, no, absolutely, because the president's base and most of the country still views the mainstream media as very biased against them. They feel very demonized by the media. They feel very misunderstood.
The reality is that a majority of Americans don't support Donald Trump. Polls consistently show that more than 60% of the country views him unfavorably, meaning most people are not on his side.
Like that wasn't the question I asked. I asked why won't he present
to try to
actual proof of the thing that he's claiming?
Can I talk about that? Because that's always the comeback. Where's the evidence?
Yeah, because
the evidence is this.
If you're going to claim fraud, there should be some evidence.
Okay.
That's
the evidence is this. You have a California system that enables fraud to happen easily. You don't have voter ID. You have mass mail-out ballots. You have voter cards.
That's not evidence. That's
time out.
That's just a description of an electoral system.
It's an electoral system that's ripe for fraud.
Ripe for fraud is not fraud.
And then you
that
have
is not fraud.
No, but then you have statistical anomalies where you have Rahman, who was third place, was getting 20% of the vote, and then the vote after the election day, she gets 40% of the vote.
So that's a total speculation is also not true.
It is so very
infuriating to watch people try to make speculation into proof.
It's
not speculation, that's data.
That is not data.
We're going to spend a whole segment on the California race in just a moment. So we're going to talk through some of the stuff that you're talking about there. But I actually think that we can boil it down much more simply than this. Trump falsely believes that he won the 2020 election that he lost. When he is challenged on that, He gets upset and he storms out of an interview. Explain that one.
No, they were talking about the mayoral race in California, and he was talking about the fraud there, the rigged election there.
Okay.
That's what they were
It's rigged? You believe it's rigged?
But
I do believe it's rigged.
Oh, my God. We can wrap this show up.
100% rigged.
We can wrap this show up.
He turned that into talking about his favorite obsession, which is 2020.
What's that?
In that exchange, he also was talking about the election that he lost in 2020.
Well, he talked about the 95%. He also got mad because he has 90%.
What's the explanation for that?
95% negative press coverage. He's sitting there in a negative press interview.
What does press conference have to do with the fact that she asked for proof of fraud?
Here's the thing about the president. When he was candidate Trump and they had the primary and he lost to Ted Cruz, the first thing he said was it was rigged. And he insisted that the state officials change the actual results of that primary. You remember that. And Ted Cruz was very upset by that because he called Ted Cruz a liar. That was 10 years ago. So to characterize this conversation without an understanding of who he has been, I think is unfair to the conversation we're supposed to be having now. He's always done this.
Caroline also suggested that Trump loves taking tough questions, but here is his very real history of not taking tough questions that he doesn't like. Listen.
Your first statement was, are you ready for tough questions?
Are you?
That's no way to talk. It's no way to talk. I think we have enough of an interview here, Hope. Okay, that's enough. Let's go. Let's go.
The only way it's not going to happen again is you have to solve the problem of the presidential rigged election of 2020.
Mr. President, if I'm... One more question.
The woman that you said was a great doctor in that video that you retweeted last night said that masks don't work and there is a cure for COVID-19, both of which health experts say is not true. She's also made videos saying that doctors make medicine using DNA from aliens and that they're trying to create a vaccine to make you immune from becoming religious.
Well, maybe it's the same, maybe it's not.
Last week, well, real quick.
Okay, thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
Okay. Hold on.
Before we get to the explosive exchange between Anna Navarro and Caroline Sunshine, I want to make one thing clear. Donald Trump has spent years complaining, blaming others, and pushing claims that have never been backed by evidence. The same goes for many of his biggest defenders, who often appear on shows like Abby Phillips to repeat talking points that create confusion rather than provide facts. As Charles Blow pointed out, countless investigations and studies have found no widespread voter fraud. Yet the narrative continues because it serves a political purpose. Whether it's Caroline Sunshine, Hal Lambert, Scott Jennings, Ben Ferguson, or others, the goal often seems to be keeping these claims alive despite the lack of evidence. Hal Lambert even claimed that 95% of media coverage is against Trump, but offered no proof for that number. In reality, one reason Trump has remained so influential is that the media has spent years giving him constant attention. Since the beginning, he has thrived on being the center of every conversation, and that's exactly what keeps him in the spotlight.
Addressed in the clip that we saw from the Meet the Press interview. The first is him alleging that he didn't lose the 2020 election. Trump and his team filed over 60 challenges in court and lost every single one of them. So there is no evidence that held up in court. That's number one issue. The second issue, which to me is just as horrible and needs to be discussed, is his consistent berating and insulting and ad hominem attacks, particularly against women. Whether it's Kristen,
me a break.
What do you mean give me a break? Kristen Welker this week.
It's Kristen.
Caitlin Walker.
I'm
Caitlin
sorry.
Collins last
I've
week.
worked with Kristen when I worked at the White House.
Will you give me a break?
Say
Have you no shame as a woman that we hear him call them ugly and piggy and crooked and liars and stupid and bad journalists? Have you absolutely no solidarity with women? Oh my God, I can't believe you sit here and tell me to give you a break. When in this network we hear him tell our journalist that she's not fit to be a journalist because she doesn't smile. How dare you tell me to give you a break? Have some shame.
Why would the president tell a woman that she doesn't smile enough when she's working, asking him a question?
Because he's an equal opportunity offender. And let's not pretend. Let me explain how the game.
Give me another example of.
Let me explain how the game. Let me explain how the game works.
Give me an example of him being equal opportunity.
Let me explain how the game works because Caitlin got something out of that exchange too.
Caroline.
The president gets a lot out of having combative exchanges with journalists. His base loves it. His poll, that's why I said he should do 2 to 3 more of these a week. His poll numbers go up. But Caitlin's getting something out of it too. So many journalists have made their careers in this country off of being combative with President Trump, Caitlin Collins included, Jim Acosta, many former people. It is all part of the game. It is all part of the theater. She's tough.
Jim Acosta lost his job at CNN.
But the fact that you guys are going to call this a woman problem, Kristen did one of the toughest interviews I have seen someone do with the president.
And he walked up and left
credit
because
for that.
he couldn't take it.
He didn't push back.
She flew all the way to Wisconsin, left her, and went to do her job. No, the guy needs to grow up. He's the president of the United States. He needs to grow up, and instead of walking out, having
How many interviews did Biden do? How many interviews did Biden do?
Biden
did an interview.
Okay, Biden is back in the White House. We can discuss it.
The Biden is like a reflex.
Separate
Jesus.
conversation.
It's the truth.
Then just
So the 2020 election.
Biden, blah, 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 Biden, blah, 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 Biden.
LZ, you were making a point.
I get it. You want the president to look good.
I get it. You want to talk about 2020. I mean, I'm bringing up Biden.
I actually brought up 2015 when he started beginning the lies
You did that too.
about talking about how elections have been stolen. I was just letting you know there's a pattern here that's been 2 years long. That's why I brought that up. But is that what do you want this nation to gravitate towards? The behavior that we've seen in which you berate women, or behavior in which you learn how to negotiate with someone that you don't agree with, but you don't need to yell or get up and leave out of an interview?
It's one way that you berate women because apparently it's good for your image.
I hear you pushing back on LZ and Anna and suggesting that maybe this is somehow about Joe Biden, which it's not. Are you comfortable with Trump being challenged on something and rather than defending his point, just simply storming off of an interview?
He did defend his point. She kept on and on with the same question.
How did he defend it?
He said that he thought the election was rigged. He answered the question.
And she asked for proof, and he provided what?
It goes back. He talks about what I just said. If you look at the whole election system
What you
in
said didn't make
California,
any sense.
Of course it does.
No, it doesn't make any sense. And it's not a fact.
I just want to be clear.
It is a fact.
I just want to be clear. We are going to tackle what you were saying about California because there is no proof of what you're saying about California. But in this particular segment, I want to deal with the long-running Trump obsession, which he also brought up in that interview, with his loss in 2020, which he has now tasked the government with trying to validate, even though there's no proof of it. Why is it that when he is challenged on that, he can't answer for it?
Look, we know there were, after the fact, we know there were problems in Arizona. We know there were problems in Georgia. We know after investigation.
What were they?
You can't prove that in 45 days.
What were they,
okay?
Hal? It's been 6 years.
What were they?
What were the problems?
There were problems with the voters in Georgia. They found voters that were
There was no problem
in Arizona. How many fraudulent votes were cast in Georgia? Because I live in Georgia. I want to get you live.
And I lived in Arizona.
That's a lot. Okay, first of all,
I lived in Arizona.
We can't have this conversation. This man just said that there were thousands of
the more you guys yell there's no fraud, the more likely there was fraud.
No, the more that you lie, the more we're going to push back on the fact that you are lying. The Heritage Foundation keeps the largest database on voter fraud.
This is so ridiculous. I want to walk off this.
I got to finish this point. I'm going to finish the point. They keep 30 years. They've tracked 32 elections, 100 million votes. They have found 39 total cases of voter fraud. So the Heritage Foundation is absurd. Where's your proof? I just cited my source. What is your source?
I got a question for you.
I just cited, no, because I want to know what your source is.
You said
what is your source? Mine is the Heritage Foundation.
Do you think there's no H-1B visa
fraud? Where's your source?
Do you think there's no Medicare fraud?
You don't have
Do you think there's no home health care fraud?
Can you let me say a source?
Guys.
You're not saying a source.
There's fraud all over the federal government. There's fraud all over the states.
Where is your source?
And yet there's no voter fraud?
Are you kidding? The idea that you're sitting here trying to convince us based on no source whatsoever to trust your word and trust the president's word when we know he is lying. And I want to know if you think that was the real. I don't know if we're sitting here with two election deniers.
Just a second.
Do you think it's rigged as well?
Tell me there's no fraud in anything. Medicare, Medicaid, H-1B visas, nothing.
You have no source, and you're going to get louder and louder, and it's still not going to work.
California won't allow the federal government to
louder and louder, and it's still not going to work because you don't have a single source for your whole body.
Stop talking. Guys, stop talking. Because y'all are talking so loud. But to be honest, Hal, you're not saying anything.
Okay, I think I am. Let's see what the viewers think.
Caroline,
they won't let the federal government even audit their
Hold on a second. Caroline wants to have a quick word, and then we're going to go to
By the way, I would just add, the president has agreed to do a second interview with Kristen Welker, which doesn't surprise me at all. So Kristen will have her own time to, I'm sure, ask him for further evidence. It's like you've been upset about his money. Way more than Biden ever did.
We're going to leave that right there. Next for us, the president and MAGA are pushing false conspiracies about the California election.
Anna Navarro's Biden line at the end was hilarious. At this point, these debates feel completely disconnected from reality. Honestly, I don't know how people like Anna Navarro and Charles Blow keep their composure. It must feel exhausting trying to have a fact-based discussion with people who seem determined to ignore facts altogether. What stood out to me was Hal Lambert's argument that viewers can decide what's true. That's the problem. Opinions aren't the same as evidence. It often feels like the goal isn't to prove anything, but simply to create doubt. If enough people start questioning whether elections, institutions, or basic facts can be trusted, some may decide their vote doesn't matter at all. I've met plenty of people who genuinely believe these claims, and no amount of evidence seems to change their minds. The conversation just goes in circles. That's why I cannot understand Ana Navarro's frustration, especially when Caroline Sunshine dismisses concerns about Trump's treatment of reporters and critics. But that's my take. What do you think? Do you agree more with Ana Navarro and Charles Blow, or with Hal Lambert and Caroline Sunshine? Let me know in the comments below, and if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share for more content like this.